Good afternoon. It is a sunny day here in San Antonio, Texas. I'm back with my family. We have had a death in the family and we are quite torn up and trying to get by one day at a time. But I wanted to do a video because why not? I've had questions from Doug39 who posted, actually didn't post, sent an email to me and said, Joe, I'm getting tired of my fasting beverages. What can I do? I'm tired of coffee, diet soda, water, and tea. What can I do to change my game and not feel so in want? And this got me thinking that it is time to do a video on what prolonged fasting does to the mind that allows you to be successful, as opposed to you leveraging stuff like beverages and calorie-free drinks of all kinds to try to make you able to succeed. That's just a trick, using water and coffee and tea to get by when you're hungry. The real change occurs in your mind as you are able to adjust, because what intermittent fasting leads to, the longer you do it, is meditation. And that is the gateway to success. The more you fast, the more you are introduced to elements of meditation. Now, when I say meditation, don't get the wrong idea, because most people think of Middle Eastern or Eastern philosophy where you got a guy, a yogi, in a temple with a bunch of Buddha statues with his arms at his side, dressed in like a robe, meditating. And a lot of people do have that in mind, and they do practice that because they think that it gives them some sort of power. I'm here to tell you, you're doing that already. And if you're fasting, you're more prone to doing things like that in a way that is effective and beneficial, but not like you think. You don't have to actually, quote, meditate to meditate. When you're in the shower and you're relaxed and you're going through your day effectively and you are doing things that you want to do at your pace and you have a rhythm that really works, you're meditating because you are appreciating life on its own rhythm. You're not doing something for the sake of somebody else or something else. When you get up to go to work, you're not doing that. You're going to work to get paid. You're going to work to optimize your life. So that's not meditation. Well, that's what meditation is when you're doing something for its own sake. So you start fasting to get thinner maybe, but then you realize that the benefit is one for your mind as well. And as your mind becomes more adjusted and more level, you start discovering that you do things out of harmony and out of joy, and you go between two states of being. One, you go to the get her done state, which is where you start when your brain starts releasing endorphins so that you'll get more active. Maybe you'll sleep a little less, but you'll hunt a little more. Put hunt in quotes there. Your body's trying to get you to feed itself, but you're not doing it, so what happens? You get busy, so you start cleaning the shower, you start cleaning your house, you start doing everything that's productive to be happy. But then after a while, the next stage of that is content and inner peace and tranquility. This is the I don't need to get anything done stage because everything is perfect, also known as the Zen stage. This is what you need to transition into. First, you get into the get her done stage. You develop hunger high. You start being really motivated, but that'll only take you so far. That's made perfect when you get to the second stage and you realize everything is just fine. You don't really need to change at all. You're already doing what you need to do. So when you're sitting there and you're depending on beverages to get you by and you feel like something's missing, maybe you get to that situation where you find yourself sighing and you find yourself kind of with a little air hunger. You're still kind of hungry and you're not content. That's a very good sign, but it's also a sign that you haven't gotten to where you need to be yet. You're still longing for a transition. And that transition is going to be that state of mind where everything is right in the world. Now, granted, it doesn't stay like that. It's a fleeting state of mind. You get periods throughout the day where you are content and where you feel good and where things feel right. It's not meant to stay the same way a planet is going to stay in orbit for billions of years, but eventually it's going to get too far or too close to its star. The planets are in harmony after the solar system has settled down. And then there's chaos. There's a new transition. So when I did that video a couple years back on fasting with fewer beverages, this was actually where I was going. Your mind, your muscle memory has not accepted the change that you've made. The change that you made, that the real you is the you that is foodless or close to it. So your real sense of happiness comes when you can alternate between production, doing things, and non-production contentment. That's why after you've had all the beverages you can have, what you need to do is be productive. You need to start tackling hobbies. You need to start getting out of autopilot and therefore back into autopilot. A little bit of a contradiction there, because when you try to set a new pattern, you want stability. You want to get comfortable with doing OMAD, but then that's going to lead you to taking greater initiative and doing things that are out of the pattern, out of the setting on autopilot. And of course, if you want to be unsuccessful in life, in anything, count on autopilot all the time. Do the things you've always done, and by the time you are an old man or old woman, you will be the type of person who does only what is comfortable and what you've already learned. And this is why in the workforce, you get these situations where people stop learning new skills. They stop advancing themselves because they're always coasting on their old acquired knowledge and not their new. Can you see that happening in your life or maybe someone else's? So if you want to get into the stability that OMAD brings and you're having a problem, what you need to do is set up rituals. You see, there again, it's a contradiction. Ritual, pattern, versus turning off autopilot and being productive. It requires both. And when you're adjusting, it's pretty hard because you don't yet have a pattern. But once you get a pattern, it's hard to deviate because you become reliant on it. But you're not relying on it. You've already taught yourself how to set a new pattern, which means you're independent. This is why it's all so crazy. So one of the reasons, in conclusion here, that I'm talking about this today is because the therapeutic walks that I've recommended everybody do. If you've seen this channel from the beginning, you know that when I started my journey, I would start with a 30-minute walk per day, either after the meal or doesn't really matter. I would usually do it after the meal to get my mind off the fact that I was still hungry, but it doesn't really matter. So the big challenge is to do that every day, but the purpose is not to burn calories, which is what people kept thinking. They say, oh, you'll burn more calories. And I still get questions about this where people will say, well, should I do a 2-hour walk? Should I do a 5-hour walk? If the idea is calories that you're looking to burn, you can swim 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day and become like an excellent swimmer. You're using all the muscles in your body. You'll burn thousands of calories. That's not the idea. Nobody can really do that. What you want to do is you want to set a time when your brain will separate from the act of eating pleasure, and it will start to associate your other senses. So when you're going on a walk like I'm going now, and you see me looking at these houses and just listening to these sometimes less than desirable sounds of people mowing their grass and doing other things, just normal things, what you're actually doing is you're developing a new pattern, one that happens to engage your sense of meditation. And that's the power of a ritual. Meditation is listening to your heartbeat, but that's not the only type of meditation. You can listen to music and meditate just by standing in your living room or on an exercise mat and just rock back and forth. You can do crunches. You can do anything that is light and impactful, but is also fun. And I have so many people who, even though they don't really go hardcore on exercise, have developed routines based off of the therapeutic walk. I still do this. Some days I just do a hard workout, but other days I do a therapeutic walk. I do this as often as I can because, again, it puts you in that mindset of potential genius. It's just, again, like being in the shower. You're relaxed, you're in sync with your day. So what do you start doing? Your brain comes up with solutions to problems, and you think, hey, you know what? I could do this then. And then you get a bit of motivation out of that. So you start finding your center by doing things not that are means to another end, but are means to themselves. That's what worship is. That's what meditation is. That's what being at one with your being is. It's just having a pattern that leads to you achieving a state of balance. That's why the therapeutic walk, in addition to getting a little bit of sunlight, empowers you to be able to find purpose again and find unity. So forget about the calories. Forget about all of the things that you've been taught on places like MyFitnessPal and all of these to track. The idea is to track your sense of meditation, your ability to do things that are not things to another end. That's where you will really make your fasting journey much better, because fasting properly done leads to meditation.